American warship steams directly towards one of the most powerful naval forces of all time. Ahead of her, battleships, heavy cruisers, and destroyers. Some of these ships outweigh her 10 times, even 20 times. Her captain knows the odds, as does her crew. To say they are outgunned is an understatement, but in spite of all of this, instead of retreating, they charge into battle. I'm your friend, the Ship Nerd, and today we are looking at the story of USS Samuel B. Roberts, the Destroyer Escort that fought like a battleship. USS Samuel B. Roberts, named after a highly decorated US coxswain killed in the Battle of Guadalcanal, was not built for glory. She was never meant to fight battleships. She wasn't even intended for front-line conflicts. Launched in January of 1944 and commissioned later in the same year, she came in at just over 300 feet in length, and she was very lightly armoured, and for a destroyer, which is usually quite a fast type of ship, she was relatively slow. Her primary job was quite simple. She was to escort convoys, hunt submarines, and protect larger ships. Compared to the fleet destroyers and cruisers, she was tiny, and her crew nicknamed her the Sammy B. Most people believed her war would consist of escort duties, far from history-making battles. They were wrong. By October 1944, the war in the Pacific was reaching its climax. American forces had returned to the Philippines. In response, Japan launched a desperate counterattack, a massive naval operation designed to crush the American invasion fleet. This would become the Battle of the Leyte Gulf, the largest naval battle in history. And deep within this enormous conflict, a small American force known as Taffy 3 suddenly found itself in terrible danger. At dawn on the 25th of October, lookouts spotted something terrifying on the horizon. Japanese battleships, heavy cruisers, and destroyers. It was an entire enemy battle fleet that had emerged from the morning mist. Worse yet, leading them was the gigantic battleship IJN Yamato, the largest battleship ever built, also housing the largest naval guns ever placed on a warship. Taffy 3 was completely unprepared for this encounter. The American escort carriers nearby were lightly defended and vulnerable. If the Japanese fleet broke through, the invasion fleet beyond could be devastated. And standing in their way were only a handful of destroyers and destroyer escorts, one of them USS Samuel B. Roberts. Most ships would have fled. Samuel B. Roberts attacked. Her captain, Lieutenant Commander Robert Copeland, understood the situation instantly. Against overwhelming odds, he ordered a direct change towards the enemy fleet. Before battle, he reportedly told his crew, "This will be a fight against overwhelming odds, against which survival cannot be expected." The Sammy B accelerated towards the Japanese cruisers. Her engines were pushed beyond safe operating limits. The tiny destroyer escort shook as she reached speeds she was never designed to achieve. And then, she opened fire. Samuel B. Roberts attacked the Japanese heavy cruiser IJN Shokai. Her 5-inch guns fired as fast as possible. Torpedoes launched. Shells exploded around the tiny ship. Massive columns of seawater crashed onto the deck. Japanese battleships and cruisers were unleashing huge salvos in return. One hit would destroy Sammy B instantly, but somehow she kept charging. Crew members loaded ammunition non-stop. Gun crews fired until barrels overheated. Smoke covered the ship. The battle became chaos. Then, against all odds, she scored hits. Real damage. This tiny escort ship was actually hurting the Japanese warships. It is said her attack was so aggressive that Japanese commanders thought they were fighting against a much larger vessel. For nearly an hour now, Sammy B had been fighting ships vastly greater than herself. She zigzagged through fire from the enemy. She dodged incoming salvos and fired away until ammunition ran dangerously low. Crew members suffered burns, wounds, and exhaustion, but they kept fighting. At one stage, Sammy B closed near point-blank range with the enemy cruisers. It was almost suicidal, and yet the attack worked. The Japanese formation became disorganized and confused. American destroyers and aircraft attacked from every direction. Smoke screens hid the retreating escort carriers. The Japanese advance began slowing. And in the middle of all of this was tiny Samuel B. Roberts, still firing away. This could not go on forever though, and eventually the damage became too severe. Japanese shell fire tore into the ship. Her engines failed. Fires spread and power was lost. The ship was left a sitting duck. Still, her crew kept fighting, with whatever weapons they had left. But the end was coming. At 9:35 a.m., the order was finally given to abandon ship. Samuel B. Roberts rolled into the sea after one of the bravest naval actions of World War II. She had fought against incredible odds and helped to save the vulnerable American carriers behind her. 89 crew members were lost, and a lot of the people who survived drifted through the shark-infested waters of the Philippine Sea for over 2 days before being rescued. The wreck of this brave ship was rediscovered in 2022, nearly 7 kilometers deep, and it is currently the deepest shipwreck ever found. The Battle of Samar became legendary. Military historians still study it today. The courage shown by the crews of Taffy 3 shocked even the Japanese commanders, and among all these stories, Samuel B. Roberts became something so special. A tiny escort ship that charged battleships. A vessel so aggressive, so determined, that she earned a legendary reputation across the US Navy. In war, size does not always decide history. Rather, sometimes it is decided by courage. And on October 25th, 1944, aboard a small destroyer escort in the Philippine Sea, courage changed everything.